The herd had been walking for hours, the same 30 kilometres they cover most days. Then one of them stopped. Water wasn't the reason. The matriarch hadn't called a halt. Her leg would not carry her that far again. Researchers have watched this exact moment happen before. In different herds, on different continents, for different reasons. Every time what the herd does next is almost nothing anyone predicted. The pattern begins with something small. A dog wanders too close to a grazing elephant somewhere at the edge of the herd, and her whole body changes in an instant. Tail up. Ears flared wide, catching the light, weight shifting back onto her hind legs. Dust rising where her feet reset in the dirt, as if her body hasn't decided yet whether to run or to charge. Nothing here threatens the elephant standing a few metres away. The dog isn't interested in her, and yet her tail goes up too. Her ears flare. Something in the first elephant's fear has crossed the gap between them and taken hold in a body that was never in any danger. The second elephant doesn't back away. She moves toward the frightened one, trunk reaching for a mouth, for a face. Contact researchers distinguish from greeting, from play, reserved only for these moments. Her own ears stay half-flared the whole time she approaches, as though she is borrowing some of the alarm just by getting close to it. Sometimes a third elephant joins, and the two of them stand between the frightened animal and whatever startled her, shoulder to shoulder, a wall built out of two bodies, where a moment ago there was open ground. For a moment, nothing else happens. Two elephants close together, one still trembling faintly through her shoulders. Then comes a sound almost nobody outside a handful of researchers has heard. A high, sharp chirp, nothing like a trumpet or a rumble, produced only after the approach, only after the contact, by an elephant that has just absorbed someone else's fear and is now doing something with it. Across 84 recorded incidents at a sanctuary in Chiang Mai, the sequence held alarm, approach, contact, chirp. Only a short list of species make this list at all. A few apes, some corvids, dogs. What put elephants on it wasn't one dramatic moment, but the sameness of it. Incident after incident, until coincidence stopped being a reasonable explanation. None of that research exists for either elephant in that moment. There is only the one who was frightened and the one who came. One elephant, alone, turning toward another's fear instead of away from it. Nobody taught her to weigh that choice in the moment. There wasn't time. What happens when it isn't one animal in trouble, when it's an entire herd? It is September 2005 and the grass across Pilanesberg National Park has gone the colour of straw. Wind pushes through the reserve for days before anyone smells smoke. When the fire finally comes, it moves faster than anything on four legs can outrun. 6 African elephant herds are already wearing GPS collars, tiny devices logging each animal's position every few minutes, fitted months earlier for an unrelated study. One of the collared females recorded in the study only as F14 had been moving with her herd across open grassland when the wind changed. 29 elephants do not survive the fire. 18 more carry burns afterward. Raw patches on ears, on trunks, on legs that had been walking 30 kilometres a day right up until the fire came. F14 is one of them. Watch what the collars record next. For F14, the weeks that follow look like this. The same few kilometres of scorched ground walked over and over, never far from the herd's centre. Where the herd once covered long distances without pausing, it now stays inside that tight patch of ground day after day. They stop crossing the roads tourists use. They pull toward the emptiest corners of the reserve. Thick bush, no vehicle tracks, nothing passing through but the herd itself. And they stop meeting other herds altogether. In a landscape where numbers usually mean safety, F14's herd closes ranks instead and lets the rest of the population fall away. Here is what the collars catch almost as an afterthought. The uninjured herds change too. They travel further than before, crossing ground they used to leave alone. they cross paths with each other more, gathering into larger, looser groups that hadn't formed that way before the fire touched anyone. Herds F14 will never meet, adjusting their movement around a fire she is still recovering from. None of these elephants were burned or lost anyone they could name. They adjusted anyway, as if the fire had reached further than the flames ever did. Somewhere inside F14's own herd, a calf is watching the adults around her move differently since the fire. She doesn't know why. She watches the older females orient inward, stay closer, respond faster to anything at the edge of the group. By the time she is old enough to answer another elephant's distress herself, she will already know the shape the answer is supposed to take. Not because anyone explained it, but because she stood at the edge of it 100 times before it was ever asked of her. From the outside, a burned population scattering and regrouping can look like nothing more than chance. Animals pushed apart by geography, thrown back together by whatever ground is left unburned. It is not chance. It is the same specific choosing you watched 2 elephants make in a field with a dog, repeated individual by individual, until it reshapes how an entire population moves through a landscape. The same pull that right now is keeping F14 inside the tightest, safest ring her herd can build around her. The behaviour adjusts to the size of the loss. What moves them doesn't change at all. An elephant goes down. What makes this extraordinary is not what it does. It is what it costs. Injured, dying, or collapsed during a veterinary procedure the other elephants cannot comprehend, and the herd begins to lift her. Not symbolically, physically. Positioning themselves beside the fallen animal, lowering their heads, pressing tusks or foreheads beneath her body, and pushing upward with everything a 5-ton animal can bring to the task. It has been documented with dying calves in Asia, with injured adults in Africa, with elephants that went down mid-sedation during darting operations. One moment upright and alert, ears out, trunk raised. The next collapsed sideways in the dust, while the tranquilizer took hold, surrounded by herdmates who had no way of understanding what had just happened, or why the one they knew was suddenly on the ground and not getting up. It shows up whether the fallen elephant is close kin, or a near stranger, whether the attempt has any real chance of working. Most of the time it doesn't. A severely injured elephant can't be raised by another pressing beneath her flank, and over the following minutes, the herd appears to register this. The lifting attempts space out, then stop. But the presence doesn't. Bodies stay close, sometimes touching along their whole length. Trunks keep making contact, a rest on the back, a tip pressed to a cheek. The circle holds even once there's nothing left it can physically do. There's no sign the herd is weighing the odds before it tries. What can be seen every time is the trying, and then the staying once trying has stopped meaning anything. The most specific measure researchers have of it. In one recorded case, a herd kept a fallen calf's body company for close to 17 hours, roughly the length of an overnight flight from one side of the world to the other, before finally moving on into the dark. That calf, the one her herd stayed beside for 17 hours, is one of the cases a 2019 review in the journal Primates drew on when it classified this as epimeletic behaviour, caregiving directed at an individual in need, the same category as a mother nursing a calf, or an older female steadying a newborn through its first unsteady steps. The impulse toward the vulnerable, using whatever the body has available, appears to be the same one. A calf noses at her mother's leg in the last hour of daylight, the light going amber across the grass, too young to know that 17 hours earlier, in this same stretch of bush, this herd would not leave another calf's body. That the ground she is standing on has already held one long vigil this week. She doesn't know that. None of them are showing her that. Not in any way a human would recognise as teaching. No lesson, no warning. nothing pointed out and unnamed. The knowledge, if it can be called that, seems to live somewhere else entirely, in the way a chirp appears in almost no other context, in the way an entire population bends its movement around an injury it never directly suffered, in a forehead pressed beneath a body that will never stand again, held there long after standing has stopped being the point. 3 different findings, 3 different countries, none of them connected, and all of them describing the same thing. That what one elephant carries, the herd around it carries too, across the whole of its social world, toward whoever inside it has gone down. What that feels like from the inside. For the injured animal. For the one who chirps. For the one with a forehead pressed beneath the body that won't rise, is not something science can say yet. What it looks like from the outside doesn't need much explaining. Next time, a female elephant lies sedated on open ground in northeast India, vets working fast against the clock. The herd has moved off out of sight, but one adult male, a bull with no known bond to her, no reason researchers can point to, turns back. He crosses the open ground alone, moving straight toward her collapsed body. What happens when he reaches her is one of the quietest, strangest findings in the science of elephant altruism. And it took years to figure out how to even classify it.